Hello, everybody. All right, welcome to the Mikestand. Today is, of course, Thursday, September the 18th, 2025. Um, let's see. Of course, we're going to give people a chance to come in before we get started. Hopefully, everybody's having a good week. Um, yeah, so finished off February of 1941 on the cartoon watching earlier, including, of course, the last appearance of Scrappy in a Columbus in a Screen Gems cartoon. Um, Little Theater from February 7th, February 27th, 1941. Um, so saw some Gabby, um, a cartoon short from Walter Lantz, Fair Today, which focused in on kind of parodying the idea of state fairs and all that. So some interesting stuff. Hmm. All right. So, anyways, so I again I welcome both my Rumble and my YouTube viewers. Um, if you haven't already, if you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people to engage. It'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. And with that, let's see, we're at 2.5 minutes. We got three people in here, so guess I'll talk about what's on top of it. So tonight, we got another article from Bleeding Full from Chris Braley, the Indie Comics Showcase. So we'll kind of take a look at some projects coming out for some indie creators. Go over that article, go over those interviews and all that. Um, get the information out there for you guys. Um, then, of course, we'll have the rest and wrap up. Look to last night's Dynamite and Collision, as both shows were done last night. As well as look ahead to tonight's TNA Impact and Ring of Honor, and then of course looking ahead to this weekend's two big events of the PLE WrestlePalooza from Indianapolis and All Out and AEW's All Out from Toronto. So with that being said, why don't we go ahead and let's pull up the let me pull up the material here we're going to be going over tonight. Again, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions best of my ability. From the look of it, I guess that he's only featuring two comics tonight. Normally he does three. Indie Comic Showcase number 307, A Man with No Strings and White Owl. Article by Chris Braley, published yesterday, so September 17th, 2025. So, welcome back to another installment of Indie Comic Showcase, the weekly blog where we signal boost a few truly independent comics that are currently crowdfunding their projects, crowdsourcing their funding in some way, or just completely self publishing on their own. Every little bit of support for these creators matters, from a single dollar pledge to the $25 bundle, and of course, the higher tiers are usually fun too. Even if you don't back a campaign or buy a book, you can share or tweet about these projects to your friends and followers. On Indie Comics Showcase, we interview the creators, show off some art, tell you how you can check out the product for yourself. Below, we have some outstanding crowdfunding campaigns this week for you to learn about, enjoy, and hopefully support backing one or more of them. Thanks for checking these out, for being the best part of Indie Comic Showcase. Let's jump in. So the first title, The Man with No Strings by Philip Diaz. So let me go grab the link here. The Man with No Strings, or yeah, The Man with No Strings, okay. And this I guess is from Sad Comics. Let me see here. Let me grab this link. All right, so let's see now. So I'll put this in both chats here. All right, so anyways. So there's that. Alrighty then. So here's of course the link on both the. If you guys want to go check that campaign out, there's a link to go check that campaign out. There it is for my Rumble viewers as well. Okay, so now with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the article here. Get the descriptions down here. Let's see what's up with all this. Chris Braley. Okay, so first off, the title of the comic is "The Man with No Strings" by Philip Diaz. Chris Braley. Philip, welcome back to Indie Comic Showcase. Let's jump right in. What's the hook for your new comic? Philip Diaz. Once upon a time, there lived a gunman. His heart was cursed to rot with every soul he took. This path of revenge is one paved in bullets and blood. Follow a lone gunman who finds out how much of his soul he is willing to lose in order to get back what's been taken from him. The weird western mixes the grit and action of the 70s spaghetti westerns with magic and myth you'd find in a fairy tale from the Brothers Grimm. Wow. Quite an interesting combination there, to say the least. Chris, that's a striking mix of influences. Where did your inspiration come from, and what made you push forward with publishing it yourself? Philip, I've always loved the vibe of the early 70s spaghetti westerns, with all the mud, blood, and bullets. The brutality of the twist in those stories were always so gut-wrenching. Some of the most chilling moments in storytelling have come from one of the most um, American genres mixed with the Italian style. So I wanted to add my own spice to the desert concoction, and that for me was a fantastical and dark twist. Over the last few years, I've been laying down the foundation of The Man with No Strings and its epic timeline. After many of my friends encouraged the creation of the story, we are finally ready to get it to the readers. All right. See if anybody's saying anything as of yet. Nope. All right. So, Chris, who do you think this comic will resonate with the most? Philip, this book is perfect for readers who loved the weird mystical storytelling of the 1980s and fans of the 1990s gorgeously detailed art. This series will showcase lots of action and even some fantastic horror. I'm hoping fans of Eric Powell's Hillbilly and King's Dark Tower series will enjoy this one. Hmm. Chris, talk a little bit about your writing style and how your creative process has shifted while working on this project. Philip, this is an interesting project because I wrote the first draft of number 0 story maybe 3 years ago or more. It was originally a 6-page short. Over the years, it grew with many editing passes and even expanded to the ongoing series we plan it to be now. My style used to be geared more towards the crowdfunding or trade paperback format, like in our previous book, The Lost Pages, Volume 3, a full story containing 3 or 4 chapters with an ending that left room to jump into the next volume. For this new series, we are treating it more like a mainstream title, around 24 pages each, ending on a cliffhanger that leads into the next chapter. Another new thing is keeping up a steady pace of production. Issue number 0 is already done. Proofs are printed in-house by us at Zade Comics. Issue number 1 is drawn. Issue number 2 is halfway finished with art. Issue number 3 is written. So evolving our creative style has taken a lot of grinding and learning. Chris, every great comic starts with a strong team. Who's helping you bring The Man with No Strings to life? Philip, as soon as I saw Oliver is Bedra's art. I'm saying that one 3 times fast. I knew that I needed to work with him. After sitting on the script for this issue number 0, along with pages and pages of story notes for the series, I needed to get something drawn. I contacted Oliver and pitched him the idea of some character concept, and wow, Oliver brings a 90s style of art that is undeniable, in my opinion. I think that's why this story works in black and white. Oliver is a great collaborator. It is such a joy seeing pages come in, and I hope to be working with him for a long time. Hmm. Chris, where are you in the production process right now? Philip, production is great. Like I said, we have been working on this for a while now. Oliver needs his time to make these pages sing. I give him that time. I tried not to jump the gun with announcing this before it was ready. We are aware that comic readers are used to getting burned by long waits and delays from their favorite creators. And we just don't want to add to that pile of headaches. So, yes, this issue is already written, drawn, lettered, edited, and proofs have been printed. And once November comes, we will be shipping them out. Chris, you've been involved in both crowdfunding and direct sales. What lessons has self publishing taught you this time around? Philip, I've learned that there is no wrong way to self publish. Evolve as you grow. Crowdfunding may be right for a certain project, but direct pre sales can be better for others. We have successfully crowdfunded 7 projects that helped us build a following and gain trust with a readership. Now we are in a spot where we are able to create the series ahead of time and sell directly to our readers from our own site. Now that does not mean we are finished with crowdfunding. Down the line, I would love to bring this series to a crowdfunder and get those issues collected and colored. Chris, do you envision this as a long running story or something with a clear conclusion? Philip, I am planning a long run for The Man with No Strings that includes a definitive ending. This character will evolve throughout the series. We will meet some old friends from his past along with fresh new nightmares that he will have to gun down. There is a wide timeline that we will ride through, exploring what our gunman is after and why he thirsts for revenge. As with many a great story, right? Chris, let's talk goodies. What kind of extras or perks are you offering fans for this release? Philip, yes. On our pre-order campaign, we have a special no strings t-shirt and tank top, as well as a few extra items. The 11 by 17 wanted poster printed on canvas is a great add-on. For the first time, we are offering a magnet storing the Whittler. The Whittler is a silly name that our friends in our live stream chat have dubbed the mysterious gunslinger from the series. We love all the support from our chat, so we had to honor them with a magnet with crazy art by Rich Ayala of Roach Balls fame. Along with along with those, we have our painted 3D printed shell beans in parentheses here. Don't ask. You'll need to see to understand. Okay. On parentheses there. As for variants, we are now offering a retro newsprint version with a throwback cover and old school paper interiors for only $10. And for all you artists out there, we are printing blank sketch covers of the book. Chris, before we wrap up, anything you'd like to say directly to readers who may be discovering your work for the first time? Philip, thank you all for checking out the start of our newest series. We have our past books on the Zade Comics site as well, shipping out the same week of order. And don't forget to sign up for our newsletter to be the first to know when new sketch cards or original art drops. Chris, and finally, when does the campaign end? Philip, campaign ends October 31st, 2025, Halloween. Okay, looks great, Phil. All right, so now before we get into the next one here, White Owl by Roberto Rodriguez, I do need to step away from the computer for a moment, so I'll be right back. And then when I come back, I'll grab the links for that. If you haven't already, if you guys can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So I'm gonna put some music on while I'm done. Be right back. All right, I'm back. So now let's go ahead and here and move on to this next one, White Owl by Roberto Rodriguez. Let me go course, go grab the link to that. See what. So Zaid Comics was the site for the previous one. Let's see where this one is. So this one's a Fund My Comic project. All right, I'm actually going to need to go off camera here for a moment. I'll be right back. I'm back. Sorry about that. Anyways, let's go. As I said, go grab that link. Fund My Comic project. It's called White Owl. And Roberto Rodriguez. And for my Rumble viewers as well. And of course, let's highlight those two more recent editions there. That's from the YouTube channel. Again, if you guys want to go back and check those projects out, and of course for the Rumble channel. All right. So, anyways. All right. So, White Owl by Roberto Rodriguez. Okay, one more time, folks. I'm sorry. I need to go off camera here one more time. Just things are getting a little warm here in my room, so I go off camera one more time here. All right, hopefully that's the last of the distractions. Let's get into this. All right, so Chris Braley. Um, Roberta, welcome to Indie Comics Showcase. Let's start with the big picture. What's White Owl 3 about? Roberto Rodriguez. White Owl 3, a brutal mercenary, recruits our superhero to save an innocent woman from the claws of a psychotic FBI detective who is hell-bent on his trail. Chris, that's a tense setup. Where did the idea for White Owl come from, and what made you decide to self-publish it? Roberto, I wanted to break into the world of comics. The idea originated from clunky depictions of heroes being forced to do the ultimate deed, ending a life. I wanted to see how it would look when a hero crossed this line because of forces outside of their control, and how one can come back from that. Chris, who do you think this series is best suited for? Roberto, this comic is suited for fans of street level, gritty, and mature superhero stories. Chris, tell us a bit about your storytelling style. How have you developed your creative process over the course of making this series? Roberto, I started the first series of this comic book in 2022. I think I've grown a lot since then and have learned to implement various storytelling tactics to not only inform but guide the reader as the story unfolds. This is the best part of storytelling for me, introducing beats that will unequivocally um, give you information, then flipping the information to give you a completely original and unexpected experience. Wow, very interesting his approach there. Chris, every creator has their collaborators. Who helped bring the project to life? Who's working with you on White Owl 3? Roberto, um, the team is just my artist, Alberto Garcia, and me. He is great and communicative. I had to switch artists from the first two issues to Alberto on White Owl 3. Chris, how's production going on this latest issue? Roberto, the book is completed. I ran a Kickstarter campaign with it, and it was successful. I am now waiting on the physical copies to start shipping them out. It is a 44-page book. Um, the copies should arrive by the end of this week. Chris, what have you learned from self-publishing and crowdfunding through this journey? Roberto, to be consistent and to enjoy the process. This is tedious, time-consuming, and somewhat exhausting, but you must find ways to make it work for you. Chris, beyond White Owl, what else do you have in the works? Roberto, I have many ideas for one-shot comics. I have an action intergalactic rom-com, romantic comedy in the works, as well as a psychological thriller. Um, both one-shots. I also have a horror fantasy comic titled Faint. This is a post-apocalyptic story of a world forgotten by God. Angels and demons enter the world and enact cruel violence in his name. This is an ongoing series, and issue number 2 is slated to release around mid-October. Um, Chris, for backers who support the campaign, Are there any extras or perks they can look forward to? Roberto, there are catch-up tiers as well as posters, stickers, and magnets. Good, and Chris says, good luck. All right, so that's it for this installment. If you're a creator ramping up your campaign or have a comic available for purchase online, you want to be featured in our weekly column, click here. So we can hopefully help you get more eyes on your crowdfunding comic project. Until next time, supporting the comics. All right, so there we go with that article. So again, the two comics that were featured here in this article are as follows, of course. The Man with No Strings for my YouTube subscribers, and the Rumble subscribers, Rumble followers, and White Owl for YouTube, and for Rumble. So let's see let's see if anybody's commenting. Okay. All right. So, anyways, so I guess we will get ready to move on to the next part of the. All right. So with that being said, I should go ahead and clear that out since we're done with that. All right. All right. So with that now, I guess it's a good time to move on to the wrestling wrap up. We look back to last night's Dynamite and Collision, as both shows were aired last night. The September to Remember event coming from the Canada Life Place in London, Ontario, Canada. On Dynamite, you had, of course, Excalibur, Taz, Tony Schiavone, and Bryan Danielson on commentary on TBS. The opening match saw John Moxley of the Death Riders with Daniel Garcia and Marina Shafir in his corner, defeating Roderick Strong with Kyle O'Reilly in his corner. Then in a lead up to their upcoming match at All In, Bobby Lashley of the Hurt Syndicate with MVP and Shelton Benjamin in his corner defeated Toa Leona with Bishop Khan and Ricochet in his corner. Of course, this battle, as I said, the prelude to the six-man tag between the Hurt Syndicate and Ricochet and the Gates of Agony. In a match in a World Tag Team Title Eliminator match, in other words, to see who will move on to the four-way ladder match for the AEW World Tag Team titles, the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson, defeated the Bang Bang Gang of Austin Gunn and Juice Robinson. In the match to determine the final participant in the three-way match for the AEW Unified title, Mascara Dorada defeated Beast Mortos. And the main event saw in a no-holds-barred match, Tekla defeated Queen Aminata. And now Now going on to Collision, September to Remember. And we now move on to, which also came from the Canada Life Center, live on TBS, with basically the same. Well, you had Excalibur, Tony Schiavone, and Bryan Danielson on commentary for that, with Mercedes Moné and Don Callis coming in for specific parts. In the second of the three tag team qualifying matches for the four-way ladder match, Jet Speed defeated Killswitch and Kip Sabian of the Matriarchy. Mother Wayne in their corner, Speedball Mike Lilly and Jet Knight. Riho defeated Robin Renegade in just under 5 minutes. And then in the final qualifying match for the four-way ladder match for the AEW World Tag Team, the Don Callis family members duo of Josh Alexander and Hechicero defeated Top Flight's Dante and Darius Martin with Christopher Daniels in their corner. So that's all that happened on. Now, as we look ahead to now with a somewhat updated card for this Saturday's All Out, go ahead and take a look at that real quick here. So now the updated card for All Out this Saturday, as far as we know. Coming from the Scotiabank Arena in Toronto, Canada, Christian Cage and Adam Copeland are set to take on FTR in a tag team grudge match. Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler with Stokely in their corner. Eddie Kingston is set to make his return after a long absence due to injury to answer the challenge of Big Bill. In a four-way match for the AEW Women's World title, Toni Storm defends the title against former AEW Women's World Champion Jamie Hayter, former TBS champion Chris Statlander, and Tekla of the Triangle of Madness. In a six-man tag match that we were talking about, Ricochet teams with the Gates of Agony of Bishop Khan and Toa Leona, take on the Hurt Syndicate of Shelton Benjamin, Bobby Lashley, and MVP. Mercedes Moné defends the TBS title against Riho. In a coffin match, the Death Riders' John Moxley takes on Darby Allin. In a tables and tax match, MJF looks to get his revenge on Mark Briscoe for costing him the AEW World title by distracting him. Mark Briscoe looking to get revenge on MJF for being forced to be used as a pawn to get his way against MJF. In the three-way match for the AEW Unified title, Kazuchika Okada defends the title against former international champion and current G1 Climax champion Konosuke Takeshita of the Don Callis family, and Mascara Dorada of CMLL. Of course, Okada and Takeshita right now are both part of the Don Callis family, making that for a very interesting dynamic, to say the least. In the four-way ladder match for the AEW World Tag Team titles, the AEW World Tag Team Champions Brodito of Ring of Honor World Champion Bandito and Brody King are set to answer the challenge of the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson, Jet Speed Speedball Mike Bailey and the Jet Kevin Knight. The Don Callis family duo of Josh Alexander and Hey Cesaro. And then in a match for the AEW World Championship, Hangman Adam Page defends against TNT champion Kyle Fletcher. So now we're going to look ahead to tonight. Now that we looked ahead to this weekend, now we're going to look ahead to tonight's Impact and Ring of Honor shows. First off, on tonight's Impact. On tonight's Impact, coming from the Armory in Minneapolis, Minnesota, with Tom Hannafin and Matthew Rainwalt on commentary. The System's Brian Myers with, of course, the rest of the system, Alicia Edwards, Eddie Edwards, JDC, and Moose in his corner. Takes on Mustafa Ali of Order 4, who will have Agent Zero, the great hands of Jason Hodge and John Schuyler, and Tasha Steeles in their corner. Eric Young is set to take on Judas Icarus in an intra-squad battle of Northern Armory. This is from the fallout from last week's events, in the match between Travis Williams and Joe Hendry. In a 6-woman tag match, the Inspiration, the former TNA Knockout champions, the Inspiration, Cassie Lee and Jesse McKay, team with former TNA TNA Knockouts champion Masha Slamovich. They take on the current TNA Knockouts and Knockouts tag team champions, the Elegance brand of Ash, Heather, and M by Elegance, with the personal concierge in their corner. In a grudge match, Danny Luna is set to take on Indy Hartwell, who is currently the #1 contender to the Knockouts Championship. She'll be taking on Indy Hartwell, of course, will be taking on the winner of the match between Masha Slamovich, the challenger, and the champion, Ash by Elegance, coming up at Victory Road. Indy Hartwell will meet the winner of that match at Bound for Glory in October. Mike Santana will take on AJZ, a match that was supposed to happen last week but was interrupted by Trick Williams. And the main event will see the Hardy Boys defend the TNA World Tag Team Champion against the Nemeths, Nick and Ryan Nemeth, who, of course, have exercised their rematch clause. We'll do so here on tonight's Impact. Now, of course, moving on to tonight's Ring of Honor Club. Excuse me one more time, folks. I need to go off camera here for a moment. Jefferson Starship Trooper. I thought this was about comics. Well, we did comics earlier. That's part of what it's about. I cover anime, cartoons, comics, manga, and pro wrestling. Okay, I did do a comics article earlier called the Indie Comics Showcase. You'll notice in the chat there's a couple of links to some campaigns if you want to go check those out. Right now we're just doing the wrestling wrap up, but I do need to go off camera here for a moment. I'll be right back. But we do cover comics on here, as well as, as I said, anime, cartoons, comics, pro wrestling, manga. So anyways, I'll be right back. Let's see what. Hey, Apex. Thanks for dropping in, my friend. There's another campaign you guys can check out right there. Apex is Fembat. All right. So, anyways, continuing on with the so on tonight's Ring of Honor Club, also coming from the 2300 Arena, Philadelphia, PA, with Caprice Coleman and Ian Riccaboni on commentary. CPA is set to take on Satman Singh. Lance Archer will be taking on a mystery opponent. In a pure rules match, Katsuyori Shibata will be taking on Matt Mako. The Beast Mortos will be taking on Alan Angels. Alan Angels makes his return to AEW after sojourn to TNA. In another pure rules match, a women's pure rules match, Viva Van will be taking on Olympia. CMLL's Mystico with Alex Abramohantes in his corner will be taking on Mansoor of the M&M Collection with, of course, Johnny TV, Mason Madden, and Tyre Valkyrie in his corner. Another women's pure rules match, Yuka Sakazaki will be taking on Janai Kai. And in the main event, we'll see in a mixed tag match, Aaliyah James and Man Like Darius will be taking on the Death Riders, Marina Shafir and Wheeler Yuta. All right, so that's all we got for the wrestling wrap-up now. So what we will do now, of course, today is Thursday, September the 18th, 2025. So let's get ready to take a look back at this date in Niche history. So 2015. 1971. Okay. All right. So first off, I'm going to head back 50 years ago, as on this date 50 years ago today. The 270th issue of Batman went on sale on this date back in 1975. So 50 years ago today, the 270th issue of Batman went on sale on this date back in 1975. Sold for a quarter, was 32 pages. The story was The Menace of the Firing Hands, as written by David Vern Reed, with art by Ernie Chan, featuring, of course, Batman, Commissioner Gordon, and Alfred Pennyworth. So 50 years ago today, 270th issue of Batman went on sale on this date. Also on the date, since now moving on to the next piece of niche history, as we move ahead to the year 2000. On this date in the year 2000, on this year in the date 2000, WWE held its last Monday Night Raw on the USA Network for about 5 years. Going back WWE Homecoming 2005, the last Raw on the USA Network before moving over to TNN for about 5 years. It took place in the Allstate Arena in Rosemont, Illinois. The main event saw The Undertaker defeat The Rock in just over 4 minutes. In a match for the WWF World Tag Team titles, Edge and Christian retained over Too Cool, Grandmaster Sexay, and Scotty Too Hottie. Let's see. China and Rikishi went to a no contest. In what looks like a 6-man tag match, Kurt Angle, Triple H, and Stephanie McMahon Helmsley defeated Trish Stratus and TNA. And the show started off with the Right to Censor's Bull Buchanan and the Godfather defeating the Dudley Boys of Bubba Ray and Devon Dudley in just over 3 minutes. That happened 25 years ago today. The last Monday Night Raw on USA Network, before coming back 5 years later on there. The following week they would start airing on the Nashville network, TNN. So, or I believe it was actually Spike by then, actually. So now moving on to the next piece of niche history. Moving ahead to the year 2005. All right, so on this date in the year 2005, the premiere season 10 of the of King of the Hill began on Fox on this date back in 2005, 20 years ago today, with the episode Hank's on Board. The episode watched by over 7.1 million viewers that night. So on this date in the year 2005, 20 years ago, the 10th season of King of the Hill premiered with the episode Hank's on Board. And finally, on this date in the year 2015, 10 years ago today, on this date 10 years ago today, production's compilation film Haikyuu the Movie Winners and Losers premiered in Japanese theaters on this date back in 2015. So 10 years ago today, Production IG's compilation anime film Haikyuu the Movie Winners and Losers premiered in Japanese theaters. Haikyuu is an anime about volleyball, about high school volleyball. So, there you go. All right. Well, with that, I thank everybody for being here tonight. Hope everybody enjoyed the show. Of course, we'll be back here with more niche news tomorrow. Also, don't forget this Sunday I'll be joined by by the Metal from the Vomitorium. We'll be taking another trip down Comics History Lane. We'll be we'll be continuing our look back to June of 1940. We'll be looking at Prize Comics number 6 this Sunday. Of course, including, of course, the Future Man Power Nelson in there, Black Owl, among other features. So, with that, I thank everybody for being here, and I hope to see everybody back here tomorrow. Bye.